Welcome to episode 104 of the Trading Without Borders podcast with Omobi, your host. Last week, we started discussions on the provisions of facilitating digital trade under the AFCFTA Digital Trade Protocol, and we looked at the following: electronic authentication, that's authenticating digital trade transactions; paperless trading, logistics, and last mile delivery, electronic contracts, amongst others. So for today, we will consider the digital payment provisions under facilitating digital trade, domestic electronic transaction framework, electronic transferable records, and maybe I should also include digital infrastructure. And last week we also looked at the SWOT analysis on the AU digital transformation strategy. So I'll probably just also take a quick look or just discuss in respect of how the strengths and weaknesses will be addressed. So what's stated in the report? How will the strengths and weaknesses of the digital transformation strategy be addressed? We'll look at the enabling environments, policy and regulation notes under it. So we'll just look at policy recommendations and proposed plans. Okay, so let's go right into today's discussion. So under the digital trade protocol, we're looking at digital payments now. So what does the protocol say? It says that state parties are to enhance access to and participation in digital trade through promotion of interoperability between their respective digital payment and settlement systems. So state parties are to work to ensure that their respective digital payment and settlement systems can work together. That's stating it as simple as I can for the benefit of those that may not be familiar with interoperability. Then number 2, they should also support the development of affordable, real-time, safe and secure, inclusive, responsible, and universally accessible cross-border digital payment and settlement systems. So for this one, I guess for some of us that may be aware, there is a Pan-African payment and settlement system that is available for intra-Africa trade transactions, for cross-border trade transactions. So I guess we're on the right track with this. And in doing this, in making this available, that the real-time, safe and secure cross-border digital payment system, we should agree to make it publicly available. So they must agree to make publicly available their respective digital payment regulations, including those pertaining to regulatory approval, licensing requirements, procedures, and technical standards. They should also adopt international and regional standards for digital payments. They should enable, develop, and promote cross-border authentication and electronic know your customer verifications of individuals and businesses. So due diligence, this is the provision on due diligence to be carried out on individuals and businesses under doing electronic transactions. And they should also promote the use of open application programming interfaces to facilitate greater interoperability and innovation in the digital payments ecosystem. Okay, so I'll just stop there for that. So let's move on to domestic electronic transactions framework. Each party is to adopt or maintain a legal framework to govern electronic transactions by taking into account relevant standards, guidelines, or model laws adopted by relevant regional and international organizations. So basically putting in place laws and regulations, global best practices in respect of electronic transactions. Then the next one, let's look at Article 17, electronic transferable records. Under electronic transferable records, state parties are to adopt or maintain mechanisms to facilitate the use of electronic transferable records, taking into account relevant standards, guidelines, or model laws adopted by relevant regional and international organizations. Okay, so I will stop here for the Digital Trade Protocol. Let's quickly move into the AU Digital Transformation Strategy before we wrap up for today. So last week I shared the result of the SWOT analysis that was conducted on AU Digital Transformation Strategy. And for those that know, SWOT is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Please, if you haven't listened to episode 103, please do so they can give you a proper overview or insight into this discussion. So the report has also made provisions on how the opportunities will be responded to and how the threats will be managed. So let's look at enabling environment provisions. The report notes that, of course, before the digital transformation of Africa can be realized, there needs to be appropriate policies and an enabling environment with critical policy reforms to the foundation pillars and critical sectors that need to drive the digital transformation. Governments have the responsibility to create an enabling environment with policies and regulations that promotes digital transformation. So let's look at some policy recommendations and proposed actions. It's been stated that under policy recommendations and proposed actions, state parties just means African countries. They need to develop and implement national and sectorial digital strategies, develop and implement regional and continental digital strategies, develop and implement cyberspace policy and legislations. That's very key. There must be safety and security in doing digital transactions. Under establishment of harmonized policy, legal and regulatory frameworks, they should develop harmonized regional and continental digital strategies, develop and adopt guidelines at regional and continental levels on regulations, develop standards and guidelines to promote digitalization. Another one I would want us to quickly look at is strengthening collaboration between African institutions and regulators in charge of digitalization and protection of personal data. So what are they meant to do? To establish a common coordinated digitalization agenda in Africa, ensure policy coherence for the achievement of digital transformation in Africa. Okay, so I will stop here for today, and until next, we will continue next week. And as usual, the podcast is for educational purposes only. If you want to discuss more or you want some more information, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am Omobola Dekola, and until next week, I say to you, bye-bye.